Hello everyone. So today we want to talk about APIs. What is an API? What does it do? And why do we need API? We will talk about these things. So let's learn what is API. So an API, application programming interface. So basically it's an application programming interface, API. So is a set of features and rules that exist inside a software program, the application, enabling interaction with it through software, as opposed to a human user interface. The API can be seen as a simple contract between the application offering it and the other items such as third-party software or hardware. So what is API? API is basically application programming interface, or machines talking to each other. So let's see, API. So API is often described in like a restaurant stuff. Let's see that. And okay, so we can see this image right here, right? So we have the client. So let's say this is the client part, the user or you. Let's turn on the cursor highlighter. Okay, so this is the user or us eating in a restaurant, and this is the waiter, which is talking to the chef in the kitchen, which is going to make us the dish we want. So let's say we are the client side and this is the server side. So API works as a connector between server and client side. So client side is basically this browser, right? And there is a server, web server, a computer as well. So this will serve us some data. API will take that data and bring us to the client. So it is one of the most used example of API. Let's say restaurant. In a restaurant, we go to eat, but we do not see the chef or the kitchen, right? We just see the waiters and we ask them, okay, I want to eat this, bring us this. Waiter would then just go to the kitchen and talk to the chef and say, give us this, and the client wants this. Let's say a burger, a client wants a burger, make me a burger. And then we would wait for some time, and then the API would take the burger from the chef and then bring us the burger. So this is pretty much the same scenario here. So a client, or us in this case, is the browser. So this is the client environment. So if we want some data, let's say from backend, from database, we need an API to make the make the contact to the server. Let's say we have a database of consisting, let's say, all products or anything basically. So we need an API to retrieve the data. So we have a few methods as well. Let's say get method. So get method is basically HTTP request to get data from a server. Let's see some placeholder API. Okay, go to JSON placeholder, and as you can see, we have an API right here. So if we try to get from this API, we would get this user ID 1 because we have used a 1 in the URL. Uh, this is a URL. We will be talking about this in a later video, but let's understand API first. Let's not just get ahead of ourselves. So we what we just built, let's say the to do app we just built. To do app is just keeping the variables, or let's say the to do's. Let's open the to do app. Okay, so this to do list app has no backend integrated here, right? So whenever we add a to do, let's say test. Okay, we have written all this, and if I now reload, As you can see, it is all gone because we have not stored this in a database, in a backend, in a database. So whenever we reload, all of this is gone because all of this stuff is kept in the memory of our computer, or RAM, random access memory. So all of this is kept in the RAM, and when we refresh, it requests to the server. So here is the server we are running, and it requests the page, and the page does not have this because when we refresh, a new page is arrived here, and the default version of the page is this. So we get this, but if we have if we, let's say, run a script from here, if we just copy and paste the same code here, try to do that, and let's see what happens. So essentially we are now fetching data from an API, and we get this. We get title delectus autumn. Okay, this is, I suppose, a placeholder, just placeholder text. We can get posts as well, comments as well. Let's see, we do posts. Oh, just one. And now as you can see, we get 100 posts. So basically in large scale website, let's say in Facebook or in Instagram, we have a front end application and we have a back end application. We have two different servers, but to use both of them, sorry about that, the front end needs to communicate to back end and ask for these datas. And when we get these datas, let's say we have gotten the datas, and now we can show them on our screen. How we can show them. We got the results in our log. We can show it, I'm pretty sure, but we need to do some coding again. But let's not do that. We will be doing that in a later video, but let's just understand how API is working. So API is basically just making a get request. In this case we are making get request to this API. This is the API. We are fetching. We are using the fetch method. So we are making a get request and fetching the data, and then we are just logging the JSON right here, and we can see this is the data. We have gotten an array, and inside the array we have objects. So API is just a medium, you can say, or a medium to for front end to talk to backend. Let's say these comments, let's just get 500 comments. So they're saying what API will get us what. So if we do comments here, we will get 500. As you can see, we have 500 items in an array, and 0 to 99 inside one, then 100 to 199 inside one. So this is just basically getting these data from this URL or this API. So this API is storing all this data inside a database, and then the back end of this server, the server where this is hosted, the server would just fetch the data from database and then send it through this. And there is some promise thing going on. So basically this will just return a promise, and then we are doing dot then and resolving the promise, and then dot then resolving the promise, and then oh, here we are transferring the JSON. We are parsing the JSON data. We will be talking about this in a later videos. Let's just focus on API. I just keep on getting distracted because there is so much to talk about inside programming, inside web, right? I just keep on getting distracted, like talk about this and we go to talk about this. Okay, let's just focus on API. So as you can see, we are the client. We are requesting to this API, okay, ask the server to give us slash comments. So when I ask for comments, the API gives us comments back. As you can see, we get the comments here. But if I do let's say albums, we will get the albums back. My albums back, and albums is 100. As you can see, 100 albums, they say it right here. So basically you can think of this as the menu. So this is the menu, and we are asking the API to bring us any items from the menu. But we cannot do anything. Let's say I want to do a steak. This will not return any data. It will just say 404 not found, because this is not there. This is not there on the menu. So let's say this is the menu, and we do not have a steak here in the menu. That's why we are getting an error of 404 not found. 404 meaning is this is not available there. So we must do from the menu, and let's go for posts, and we get 100 posts, and we have this body, title, user ID, etc. Okay, so I hope you guys understood what API is. I wanted to talk about API so you guys can understand, have a better understanding of API. We will be building a project yet again with APIs. That's why I wanted to talk to you guys about API, but maybe the project will be a bit later on, because as you can see, we have promises here. We haven't talked about promises yet, or the fetch yet. So the fetch is doing, what the fetch is doing is basically fetching data from this URL. We are making a get request, and we are retrieving the data from backend and database, and then we are just logging it right here, as you can see. Okay, so that's pretty much it about API in pretty simple manner. But of course APIs do a lot more. We, as you can see, we have more methods here. Let's say the post one. So how do we post data or save data? So when we make a post request, the API will then take our data as a JSON format, and then save it to the database by backend. Backend will do the saving part, but the API will make a post request and then deliver the main data to backend, and then backend will just save it, right? Okay, and then we have put, patch, delete, delete right here, and we have some more like connect, head options, but these are not very much used. Mostly we use get, post, put, patch, and then delete. So get is used for getting the data. Let's say I just want to get the data, like here we are getting all of the data, but we also can post the data. So let's say when we log into Facebook or Google, we put a user input, right? Let's say in our application right here, this is an input. So when we do this and do add, this is just added to JavaScript here. But when we make a request to backend, we will be making a post request, and then this input will be sent to the backend, and then the backend will save it or verify it or whatever. Put is used to edit stuff. So put will just replace the whole thing. Let's say we have this object right here. We want to edit the ID. If we do edit the ID with put, this will replace the whole thing. But in case of patch, we can replace only the ID, so one specific field. So the patch request applies, as you can see what it says, the patch request method applies partial modifications to a resource. So if we want to just update one thing, we use patch. So we also haven't talked about CRUD. So what is CRUD? Create, read, update, delete. This is CRUD. Let's open this in the video. As you can see, CRUD, create, read, update, delete. So creating is creating a new data. Read is the get method we just talked about. So we wanna read some data from the backend, and then we can update by put or patch, and then we can delete with delete method. And read is for get, create is with post mostly, Mostly, what mostly? We must use post. Yeah, we must use post to create. But then read, update, delete. Okay, so CRUD is create, read, update, delete, and patch is for editing. Post is for posting data to backend. We can do post to create or to verify data. Let's say when we log in, we add a username and a password, and then make a post request, and then the backend verifies if the username and password is correct. And then we also have the delete method. So that's pretty much it about APIs. So API is pretty important, and we will be talking about API in our next video as well, and we will be making some get requests. And we just did make a get request, let's say, but we will then try to show the we will create a separate app, and we will try to create a simple application with firstly the get request, and then the post, then the put, then delete, and other API methods as well. These are basically HTTP methods. We have get, post, put, patch, delete, and we do have CRUD as well. So when we use create, read, update, delete, that is CRUD. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys understood what is an API. So API is just a middleman. API is just a middleman which is making a communication between front end. This is the front end and this is the back end. So yeah, that's pretty much it about API, and we will be talking a lot more about API in our upcoming videos. Thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to our channel, and I will be seeing you guys in the next video. Thank you very much. If you have some questions, if you didn't understand anything, feel free to comment down below, or knock me on my socials. I will be linking those in the description. Thank you very much.